So now we're going to talk about the relative positions of mean, medians, and modes. And so we'll start with chart 3-3 with a symmetric distribution. So we have our x values on our x-axis, frequency on our y-axis. And we end up with something like this. Who has a mean, a median, and a mode all on top of one another. They're all in this centered region here. This is going to make a little bit more sense when we have some other graphs to compare this to. So again, we've got frequency over here, we've got x values over here. So this one when a distribution looks something like this, we end up with a mean that's somewhere over here. We end up with a median that's somewhere here. Sorry, not there. And we end up with a mode over here. So one of the things that we can see is that the mode is always the place with the highest amount of frequency, right? Which makes sense. By definition, the mode is the value that we see the most. So it would be the one that has the most instances of repeats, right? Which is what this frequency measurement is telling us. So this is what we call a positively skewed distribution. A positively skewed distribution, which to me seems backwards, because when we look at the next one, to me at least seems like it should be the one that's named positive. So I have to remember these as they're the opposite of what it looks like to me. Because to me, when something is shifted to the right, that's more positive rather than being shifted to the left. And as we see with 3-5, which we're about to graph here, when we look at a negatively skewed distribution, we're going to end up, if this is something that's kind of smushed over to the left, a negatively skewed distribution is going to be something that is smushed to the right. And so this is going to have a central tendency, one of which is over here. The mean is right here. It's going to have a median slightly before the peak on the side where the bulk of the data is, and then it's going to have a mode at that peak. So where these variables are in relationship to each other can tell us something about the distribution without having to see the full distribution. So if you're told the mean is higher than the median, then you know that it's going to be more likely to be a positively skewed distribution than either a symmetric or a negatively skewed distribution, right? If I tell you that the mode is twice that of the mean, then you're going to think that that's more likely to be a negatively skewed distribution than a positive or a symmetric distribution. So the rationale for, looking at these relative placements is because oftentimes we just assume everything has this nice, pretty symmetric distribution, And that's what we do a lot of times in this class because it's easy and it's what a lot of statistics is built off of. But it's very important for us to remember that in the real world, a lot of the data is not so clean, and a lot of the data is skewed to one particular side or the other.